It's time to focus on what drives e-commerce results. It's time for Browse Basket Buy.
Hello everybody, welcome to Browse Basket Buy, the podcast/webinar series that knows that sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can as well if you write them on the sticks and stones. So, joining me today, I'm very excited to say, is Dave Harland, the word man. And hello Dave, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on, Dan. And yeah, the word man, that's my pathetic pseudonym, really, where my only superpower has been really good at finding the most appropriate words or putting letters in the right order, really. So yeah, that's me.
I think it's a very good skill. I think it's a very important skill, especially one that's important in marketing and e-commerce. So that's the important bit. So rather than me mangle your sort of background and your experience and everything, why don't you just give us a quick sort of overview of yourself and your background and what you do?
Okay, so I am a creative copywriter. I'm the current co-founder of copywriting agency Copy or Die, and I'm also a speaker on copywriting, humour, personality within copywriting, that type of stuff. Been doing it for about 20 years. Before that, I was in journalism, so that was where I really learned how to write. Did a degree in journalism, but very early on, I kind of stumbled into copyright, and as many of us copywriters do, we start out in other jobs and then go, oh, this is actually a job writing those words for ads. There's no copywriting degree. Essentially, you do, like a module of copywriting as part of your marketing or your advertising degree. So, I learned on the job, and yeah, I've been working, or worked in-house for 10 years. I then went freelance for about 8 years, and I've been running the agency for the past couple of years. So I've kind of seen the copywriting side of things from all angles, in-house, freelance, done a little bits and bobs for agencies, and now I'm running the agency. So I've seen it from all angles. Even as a client, we've actually, our model as a copywriting agency, we get other copywriters to join us and work on our own client stuff, but we're also going to get copywriters to help us with our own marketing copy as well. So we'll see it from both sides of the table.
Is it intimidating if a copywriter knows they're working for you? Are they like, oh, okay, right, we're going to get this right, we're going to get 100% bang on?
Only as intimidating as every copywriter feels when they start every single job. It's always the daunting thing, knowing whether or not you're going to get the tone right. Sometimes you get it spot on, other times they go, oh, that's nothing like us. And I'd like to think we're quite, approachable and come at this copy side of things with an element of, down to earthness and certainly humour, which is one of the things we focus on with brands. So, I'd like to think it's not too daunting, especially when, they're writing jokes and the joke doesn't land, and it's a bit like, oh, how do we tell them?
Yeah. As someone who is often a client, I hope not a difficult client, but yes, you are very important in the world of copywriting. And you've been in words by the sounds of it for a really, really long time. So why is copy so important and relevant, and particularly in marketing and e-commerce?
I think it's long been called like salesmanship in print. That's like, well over 100 years old, that saying. And I think in absence of a kind of face-to-face sales, scenario, good copy is your opportunity to get people interested in whatever it is that you're selling, enough to persuade them to either buy it then, or certainly consider it amongst all the other things that they're weighing up. And if you get it right, you can make them feel something. And if you make them feel something, they're more likely to remember it. So it's way more important than just going, that's just filling space with a few words, or, we'll bump that into a chatbot and it'll just spit back what it thinks is the right thing. It's like, there's so many things you need to consider to really get it right. And it's a nice blend of kind of art and science, I suppose. It's a strange one.
Yeah, a lot of marketing, right? It's the creative element, but also, there's the science, the maths, and all that kind of stuff behind understanding what works. So, it's a really interesting discipline. Right, so today we're going to explore how to find the right words to create the value in the mind of consumers. So let's start off. I think this is a classic thing when you first learn marketing, when you first learn about how to write words for marketing. It's that idea of features and benefits. So most product descriptions read like technical manuals. It's just lots and lots of facts, lots of information. So how should brands be writing descriptions and copy for products?
Well, let's start with features then. So features say what a product or service does. So it's very kind of matter of fact, factual, whereas the benefit really explains how it improves people's life. So it carries that emotional. So you got like the rational side, the logical side, looking at the features and weighing them up. Then the emotional side that really grabs you and like I said, captures your attention, makes you feel something, makes your heart go, yeah, like that's going to solve a problem in my life. So there's the kind of distinction. And by leading with these benefits, you can tap into that emotional side of people's brains from the outset. To get them excited and make them crucially make them remember it long after they've finished reading it. Whereas what retailers tend to do is take the manufacturer's details. So just like what it is, I'm in a shed here. And the manufacturer's details might be about MDF, kind of wood paneling and such kilowatt lighting and blah de blah. Whereas the benefit is, find the coziest home for your business that'll make you look really professional. It's like there's the benefits. It's like, oh, okay. So you can see the benefits of all of those kind of cold, hard features. And that's how kind of simple it is, really. And you've got to remember that when people are considering buying stuff, sure, they might be, the more technical the item is, the more interested in the features that they'll be. But in the main, they have like questions like, how is this going to solve me problems? What's in it for me? And like, so what? If people read something, they go, so what? So what if you're Essex's #1 gardening service? Like, how is this going to improve my life? I don't care. So, yeah, that's the whole benefit over features, and it really is like a copywriting fundamental. We learn it on kind of day one copy school because it's so powerful and it's proven to work.
Yeah, and is there a hierarchy to benefits? Because obviously you could have some benefits which are, you've got a feature which has a quite specific small level benefit, but then you've got much larger, higher, bigger benefits as well. Like, as you say, like how it's going to change my life and make me a better person. So is it worth thinking of things in a hierarchy like that?
I tend not to do that. No, I know there's some who lean more into it's like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, isn't it? And it's like, what's at the top? Self-actualization all the way down to like, have I got a roof over my head? I think providing you are, or providing whatever you're writing about, providing you can just take whatever the feature is and spin it into a real tangible benefit that you've identified that this audience certainly needs. But if they not only need it, but if they want it, if it's something they're actively looking for, then they're more than likely to kind of list that benefit amongst something that's going to appeal to them, or when they're reading that, it's going to tick those boxes in their brain that makes them think like this is the product for me. Whereas, yeah, if you do something that's kind of too out of there, like self-actualization, you're in danger of going to the fifth benefit, which can get a little bit abstract at times. Like I did like a tongue-in-cheek one a few years ago, where you could be selling handmade Valentine's Day gifts. So that's your product, yeah. And the benefit of selling handmade Valentine's Day gifts, you spin back, it's like get into the good books of your partner. So that's benefit 1. But then benefit 2 of that is have a happier home life, and then benefit 3 of that is you're actually going to be happier at work as well because you've got a happier home life. Yeah. Benefit 4 is like you might get a promotion at work because you're working so well. Benefit 5, improve your career. You get to benefit 10. You're buying a Lamborghini because you've made so much money because you've got into your partner's good books at the very start. So that's the kind of tongue-in-cheek example I give around the whole, the power of the benefits. But in terms of hierarchy, I'm quite a pragmatist and don't really get that deep into the theory of things, which other copywriters. I think more conversion copywriters tend to do that. Yeah. Being a creative copywriter, I'm all about the emotion. So if I can pinpoint that one, especially like the first line that you use, that one key benefit, you've kind of got them in the palm of your hand, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem getting a bit crazy, doesn't it? Saying, hey, buy this specific thing because you might get a Lamborghini in 10 years. It's like, there's a bit of a level of abstraction going on that doesn't work. And you think you brought along an example, which I'm going to share, of how to do this. So let me jump over to, there we go. So we've got an example here of some product information and then how you've turned it into some creative copy. So maybe just, talk us through that.
Yeah, so this is one from a while ago. This is one of my first ever freelance jobs. I was working for this e-commerce retailer, mighty deals, like loads of weird and wonderful little products that they were selling, kind of like a bit of a jumble sale, I suppose.
Yeah.
Bit of a Del Boy job. They're like, I've got 27,000 units of these, such and such. Some of them would just be like, a pen that works underwater, or a course to learn calligraphy. Sorry, these aren't all pen and writing based. But this one came through and it caught my eye. The manufacturer's details were all quite functional. So this was a pair of bollocks in like a little silicone sack, which you attach to the back of your bike, and they are a really bright but fun bike light for the hang under the seat of your bike, as you're riding. But as you can see, the product features were all really kind of safe, and there was nothing really grabbing you. Yeah. So I wrote something that had humour. It told a little bit of a story, and it put all of those quite dull features into context. So
let's scroll down. Here we go.
Yeah. So
it really does look like a pair of. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I did, the humorous copy. So I led with some kind of relatable context. So with so many lunatics behind the wheel these days, it takes balls to get on a bike at night, but these balls could actually save your life. So relatable context, and then straight in with the benefit. And then I used a bit of a funny aside. So simply attach the realistic scrotum or upside down heart design if you're prudish. So that was like a little smile moment to the underside of your saddle and make every journey infinitely more amusing. And then I used a technique called going needlessly vivid and really descriptive. So the tough and resilient silicone sack houses two delightfully realistic LED testes, which bob around happily while you're going over every bump in the road. So even the most maniacal of drivers will see you in plenty of time. So really going into specifics there. So bobbing around happily, it allows you to visualize these little things just bouncing along the road. Yeah. And the maniacal drivers, it really puts into context. Bloody hell, it is quite dangerous at night riding your bike. And then finishing things with a smile moment again. All it takes to turn them on is a gentle squeeze. Insert own joke here. So another little aside in brackets, but just ending on that smile moment. And if you can open with something really really benefit led, which captures their attention, and then crucially end on something which makes them remember it. So a little in this one, I chose to go in with humor. It ties things off nicely, and I've taken what was and underneath you can see I've just listed the features. Always stick the features in. Like people, if they've got to the bottom of your product description, and there's no features there, they're probably going to be wanting to know a little bit more if they've made it to that final word. So either have them directly beneath or have them in another tab on the product description, just so that if they're interested, they can access all of that info. And that's usually just the stuff that you can take from the manufacturer's details and dump it in once you've made it all consistent. They can be buggers, capital letters all over the place, and one of them uses a colon, the other one uses a hyphen. Yeah, it's like let's standardize them before just dumping them in. But that was one example of from dull to humorous.
Yeah, it's great. That's what's really interesting, because it is, as you say, there's almost a reveal when we went down there from LED bike balls to actually this is a really fun-looking thing. I mean, it would definitely get people's attention seeing a glowing scrotum while they're driving around on the back of a bike. To add that personality just seems, common sense almost, really, in this case, doesn't it? Because it's such a fun product. Yeah, great stuff. Lovely. So, that's features, benefits, and this kind of flows nicely, I think, because we're talking about the kind of the way that's written, the tone that's written in. So that gets in that idea of brand voice versus conversion copy. That idea you could just write, this is what it is and this is what it does. Buy it, please. But it's bringing that. So how do you balance that sort of idea of what the brand and what you're trying to convey in that emotional sense with making sales? Does personality help or hurt when it comes to copy like that?
You're not going to like this word, but it depends. It depends. I think when the product and the benefit is really clear and obvious, trying to be too clever ruins it. So there's the classic, sometimes, I don't know who came with this. Sometimes the best way to sell a horse is to say horse for sale. Yeah. And by far the best brand that does this is McDonald's. They don't get too jokey or anything with their copy. I like sometimes they don't even have copy. It's the big photo of a Big Mac just going. All it's saying is, "Hello, you're going to buy this Big Mac, aren't you? When you're hungry later on this week." That's all we're doing, planting a little seed. So I think if they were, their rival like KFC and Burger King often go play with words, and while it might be funny, McDonald's are doing it going nice and simple. Like I think I was down in London a few days back, and I think they had one of the bus ads, and it was just McDonald's coffee, and it was I think it just said like black coffee easy or something so simple, and it was just saying we sell black coffee, like no messing around at all. And I think what I was saying about that kind of it depends. That's where the balancing act is. If your product and benefit isn't clear and you need to find a way to make it memorable, you can move more into playing around with copy and move it into the brand copy. So if you're writing for a brand that has a particular tone, that's where you lean in on it, and talk about the product in more creative ways. And I think it all kind of boils down to your brand tone. McDonald's, I don't know what their tone of voice is, but I wouldn't be surprised if one kind of element is always keep it abundantly simple and absolutely no messing around with words, because they very rarely do it.
Yeah, I feel like every brand, a lot of brands could benefit from simple and clarity would be really useful words to have in their brand voice. I think so.
Certainly in B2B, B2B is where it can get quite complex. FMCG and B2C brands, a lot of the stuff they do one thing really well. Whereas as soon as you're getting into SaaS brands and stuff where they've got 74 different features, and they want to say all 74 things at once, and it's like too overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. And is there a cautionary note, I guess, there about perhaps overwriting? I definitely see this, and I definitely think this happens a lot when you first start out marketing, and you've got to write stuff. You just, as you say, you overdo it. So you're like, I've got this brand voice, I make sure I put lots of that in. Whereas actually, as you say, keep it simple. If it's appropriate, use it. If not, don't just put it in there for the sake of it.
Yeah, you've got to be mindful of not going like too over the top. So our agency, for instance, we're called Copy or Die. So we could quite easily list out like 1,000 death or dying puns and just absolutely blather, but we purposefully don't. We use them now and again. So on our 404 page, the headline, it just says "page dead," and it's just a little man's faces like that, and then it says I can't even remember what the body copy is, but we keep those things like, and I think a lot of brands like Liquid Death, they're called Liquid Death. They do have, again, quite prominent death puns, and their tone really, their tone's wildly humorous, but they don't overdo it. And I think when brands do overdo it, it feels very forced and inauthentic, and like they're almost trying to sell the joke in rather than making it feel nice and natural. And there's different categories have those kind of expected, like what you expect from. So I mentioned FMCG before, so like breakfast cereals and soft drinks, they're more associated with like fun and humor, and that's what you expect from them. Whereas B2B brands like B2B insurance or like lawyers, classic, just associated with like business formality. So software, like there's very, very rare the software brands get get their personality across. A lot of it is deep rooted in the features and what they do. Fragrances, I've taken the piss a little bit out of fragrances, and like high fashion brands, which can be almost like really poetic and mysterious, aren't they? And cryptic. Travel brands go all indulgent. They tend to have these kind of these norms sometimes, and you can be at danger of playing up to those norms if you're not careful. When actual fact, subverting the norms and doing something less expected is probably what's going to help you stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say at this point, full disclosure, I asked for Dave's help on Revlifter's copy, who I work for, and he's helped us put personality into it. So thumbs up there. I'm definitely going to point that out. Thanks, Dave. And we're going to jump into another example here. So we've got an example of putting some personality and things into copy. So this is some product copy over here. Let's just jump in there. So yeah, talk us through this example, Dave.
Yeah, so this is a lovely little handmade clock brand called Bramwell Brown, and the founder Rob got in touch and he said, "We want you to take these quite boring product descriptions that we've got and really make them sing." The copy we've got is too dull, too functional, and we really want to get across the benefits and more so the feelings that people will get from owning one of these clocks. Now, they call these clocks heirloom clocks. They're like, upwards of 400 quid. I think that was the screen grab there is from when they were just under 400 quid. I think they're a bit more now. And yeah, he was right. I read that. I mean, you can see it there. Invest in a classic design, our original and most popular clock. Totally unique. It'll bring character and charm wherever it's hung, as well as oodles of attention from family and visitors alike. Just feels flat and predictable. There's no real story. It doesn't feel believable. And it just doesn't do the product justice at all. One of the first things I like to do, especially when I'm working on products and handmade products, I say, send me the product. I need to have a look at this thing. I need to hold it. I need to feel what it's like. And when he sent me it, it was that I could barely get it out the box. Like, you can't see for scale when it's just on a web page. Yeah. It was massive. It was like that big. And I'm like, you could feel the quality. Yeah. And I was like, okay, straight away, I know how I'm gonna write about this. So, that was kind of first step, just to have a look at that. And you know what? They'd done loads of really good customer research as well. So they'd already, like, aside from the obvious thing, like looking around their website to get your head around tone of voice, which is kind of first port of call when you're working on a new brand, especially if they're happy with their tone of voice. But yeah, the crucial thing they've done is they've done like 150 interviews, gone through and interviewed them and developed like 3 personas. So they took themes out of all of these and they were like, okay, loads of these audience members are into like nostalgia. So they like harken back to like, the lovely warm feelings of childhood and stuff. And then there's another group within the target audience who are all about making their house a home. So really like homeliness and that type of stuff. And then there's a third one that I identified who a third audience that just love kind of new and unique things and getting their hands on stuff that nobody else can have. So they've got these 3 audiences, and what they wanted to do, because they've only got one product, they wanted to get a little bit of everything for all 3 audiences within their product descriptions. So what I did was have a look through these 150 interviews that they'd done, and again, just pull out some nice little sound bites and phrases and seeing little commonalities of how these people were talking about these clocks, and that's I think sometimes listening at the customer speak is where the real emotive stuff lies. Interviews, I think when the brand interviews somebody, they tend to hear the good stuff. So they'll say the good stuff. Oh, these are great. They won't really say, oh, this, the battery ran out, or, the spring flew all over the kitchen or whatever. You'll probably find that more in the likes of reviews, forums, social media, like on their social media page. If a customer's not happy, they'll let you know within the social media. So if you're looking, not necessarily for your product copy for anything bad, but if you're looking for ways to improve your products or services, like, heed what people are saying in there, and you'll find a lot of nice little gems that can help you improve things. But from my perspective, it was reading those interviews, it was doing the research, it was understanding exactly what this product's all about, and crucially how I'm gonna write it in a way that makes people feel emotions. So if you want to flick to the after one, so straight away I'm leading with that nostalgia. So bring the wholesome feelings from childhood back into your life with this handmade work of art. So even like the phrase, I'm calling it a work of art. It's not a clock anymore. I'm trying to elevate. I hate the word elevate because it's a chatbot word, but trying to raise the profile of this and the perceived value. It's calling it a work of art. And then the weather clock wears into colourful motion when outside conditions change, brightening your home even when rain's on the way. And though every visitor will naturally want it for themselves, fear not, for your family will lovingly guard it for generations. So there's a little bit of alliteration with weather clock wears. And I've tried to include, there's a lot of Britishness within the brand. When I spoke to Rob, the founder, and on their website, loads of little touches of British charm. So just that phrase, fear not, for your family, will just feels very British in how we've done it. And it worked. They loved it at Bramwell Brown, and they even like I. after every product description I write, I'm like, oh, let me know if there was any uptick in sales. He's like, oh, at the time we didn't really have anything that could track from changing from what we used to have to what we have now. So I don't know, like on a case by case basis, but he said it's definitely improved. How they write about their clocks for other products, because they've got a load of other products, and I only really did 2 or 3 as like a benchmark for how we could get that emotion in. So that was a nice way of showing how you can take this kind of dull and expected stuff that a lot of their competitors, even though it's quite a niche category, a lot of clock manufacturers are using that kind of same lingo that Bramwell Brown were originally using, and we had to get away from that and speak more in a way that would appeal to the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great example. And yeah, it's interesting what you say. I think there is that. Obviously, everybody wants sort of quantitative measures of how things have improved, like have we sold more? But as you say, it's quite interesting as well that you've got the team thinking in that way as well. That qualitative measure of just sort of like everyone figuring out how to do that better does feel like a really big benefit as well, right, internally.
Yeah, totally. And you can ask them questions that are away from all the usual questions. So you know when you're interviewing your customers, how did you find us? What did you like? You could say, like, what put you off about it, or did you have any doubts about it, or what have you been disappointed about this thing? And you can kind of find ways to frame any copy around overcoming objections. So if people have got objections about like I don't know, like a pair of work boots, like, oh, are they gonna last? Like the steel toe cap, what happens if it's such and such? You're already thinking of if they have failed in the past, you're looking at ways that you can adapt that copy to alleviate any fears that people might have, provided the product stands up to it. You don't want to lie. But yeah, you can understand more about their kind of psyche and stuff when they're buying stuff, aside from all like the happy stuff which tends to come through when you're just asking interviews. And you find back to those phrases, like I've found so many little nuggets of phrases that a brand hasn't been used. I wrote for a chocolate, an energy bar brand years ago. Like they had like these. It was like vegan. It was palm oil free. It was full of protein. They had everything. They were great bars. But one of the reviews that I read, it said, "These are the unguiltiest pleasure of my day," and I was like, that's a nice little phrase. Should we use that as part of some of the descriptions that we wrote? Your unguiltiest pleasure, and it was just a nice way of tapping into something that the audience had written. Not in any way parroting everything back to the audience. Like, you should never do that. You should still write it from the point of the brand's authentic voice. But yeah, if you can just find little ways of saying stuff that the audience is already saying, it's just a nice little way of capitalizing on how they speak as well.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a few techniques there. So yeah, like audience research, super important. As a marketer, I would say super important as well. And mining for sort of language insights in reviews. Are there any other sort of techniques or tools you think are really useful when it comes to it's worth doing when you're thinking about copy?
Yeah, one thing we do more so when we do tone of voice creation for brands, we certainly start by looking at their competitors as well, because if you want a unique voice in your category, one thing you absolutely have to do is sound nothing like anybody else out there. So we'll have a good review of how their competitors speak. Like, they're usually all saying one and the same thing. Very few have a huge uniqueness about them. So straight away we can see where we can capitalize on using a different kind of language when they're talking about certain technical features. For instance, if it's a SaaS brand, we did one recently which was a SaaS brand, and they quite adamant they've already got quite a good humor to their tone of voice. They just never had any guidelines, so the team couldn't replicate it consistently. But we did the language analysis and having a look around. every single one, and it was like elevate this and leverage your such as productivity, efficiency, just absolutely meaningless words, because everybody else is saying them. Whereas if you contextualize stuff and give them a lot more like emotive language, you can make that part of the brand voice and really help you differentiate from all of those brands who do and essentially do and sell the same stuff as you. But if you say it in a different way, you can stand out because of that. So language analysis is key, and just understanding the brand and understanding like the brand's authentic personality, which sounds a little bit wanky, saying find your authenticity. And like when we do tone of voice work, like we do some exercises where we really do hone in what they're like. So they're not just saying, we want to come across as friendly. We ask, so what does friendly mean? Like friendly can mean 50 different things to 50 different people. Like friendly to this brand was, sort of making when they pick the phone up and they're not just talking, say the customer had a problem, to get into the nitty gritty and asking them, so tell us how you struggling day to day, and putting context around it and saying little anecdotes. Like that's friendly, feeling like somebody actually understands you at the other end. For all friendly and empathetic, I suppose. But and it's the same with funny. We want to be a funny brand. Like, what does funny mean to you? Like Frankie Boyle isn't Peter Kay, but they're both funny. Yeah. So where does the dial sit in between those two? So doing that tone of voice work allows us to get to the real nitty gritty of what makes that brand unique. And then once we've done that, we create guidelines for them that help them sound like nobody else out there. Because that's where the best brands really stand out. Yeah. Because they are unique. They sound like nothing else out there. Like I mentioned, McDonald's, they're like the absolute simplifiers in that kind of fast food area. You look at Ryanair, really self-deprecating. They're owning their no frills, their no frills attitude, and their tone of voice comes through. Like they take the piss out of their customers. It's nuts. But they're so comfortable knowing that the customers won't take it personal, and they actually love it. They love the banter. So it's a lot of it is knowing your audience as well.
Yeah, and super important when with retailers. Like we say this to retailers all the time, that what you're selling, other people sell, right? There's no way you are the only people selling a pair of jeans or a t-shirt. So why should they buy it from you rather than somebody else is really what it's all about. And so finding those points of differentiation or distinctiveness where they would choose you is really the key thing, right?
Yeah, totally. And it's easier than you think, like especially distinctiveness. When we're advising brands that they need an element of distinctiveness, the first thing we say is have a look at what all of your competitors are doing. What boring stuff do they all do? And try and find a way to not do that boring thing. Yeah. Like I noticed, I did a talk on where to find the funny in, because obviously focus on humor and personality, where to find the funny in anything and use it to capitalize on it in your marketing. And one of the examples I gave was a estate agent near me called Leslie Hooks. And you'll know it yourself. You look at any property description, it'll say like whatever the estate agents, it'll be like Reed's Rains are delighted to bring to market this period, and it's just like they use the same old tired formulaic lingo. And what Leslie Hooks did, they took the road name that the property was on and wrote a really cheesy, tenuous one-liner about it. So there was a house on Juliet Avenue, and it was Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? It'll be a tragedy if you miss out on this one. And when I first read that, I was like, I could feel my insides doubling over through sheer cringe. Yeah. But then I read another one and another one. And before I knew it, I wasn't even buying a house. I was looking on Rightmove to see what funny little quips Leslie Hooks had put on today. Okay. And all they would do very shrewdly saying to people, we're all right, us. Like, we won't this. I know this whole property, buying a house rigmarole is a nightmare, isn't it, for most people? It's up there with one of the most stressful times of people's lives. Usually because either the estate agent or the solicitor you're dealing with doesn't get back to you, treat you like a child, patronize. It's just like a nightmare. So they're just very simply saying, like, we can have a little bit of a laugh. We're not going to make it a nightmare. And remember us because we've made you have a little bit of a laugh. people who find it cringeworthy, like they're probably like, we don't want you to buy a home with us anyway because you're too straight laced for us. But if you fancy a little bit of a laugh, come to us. So I think, doing it like that and being as like really bold and doing it like that could backfire. And people might some people might read that and have the initial reaction that I had, which is, oh, cringe, that's not for me, see you later. But the ones who don't, probably going to be their best customers further down the line. So it's attracting more of the types of customers you want and alienating the ones you don't, which is hard to do, I suppose, especially in e-commerce where it's like your audience is really broad. You want to sell as much stuff as you want, but I think where you've got higher ticket items, you can be a little bit more strategic in how you put those wrong customers off.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, getting on to the topic of psychology. So are there any, you mentioned a few when you were going through your examples of little tricks, little things you could put out. Are there any other sort of principles or sort of things from a psychological or bias perspective that you think are worth sort of thinking about when you're writing copy?
If I had Richard Shotton's 2 books here, I'd probably go through each one and go, you can use that, you can use that, you can use that. Oh, he's got them. He's going to got them.
There you go.
Oh, there they are.
I had them for a giveaway, so I just happened to have that anyway.
Well, very early on in the first one, Choice Factory, there's one around mood. And this sounds so basic as to almost be like patronizing to people, but people spend more money on things that they see in plain magazines than they do on stuff they see on the tube. Just because they've got cash on the hip, they're happier, they're more likely to buy stuff. I know that's not perfect for e-commerce brands, but I think in terms of like behavioral psychology, the 3 biggies for me. First one is the primacy effect. So making that first impression. So what I said before about that opening line having the biggest benefit, you've almost got to see it as your pyramid. So at the very peak of that pyramid, what's the one single-minded benefit proposition, whatever you want to call it? What's the one thing that's going to make people's ears prick up and go, oh, like, I'm going to read more here, or, oh, they understand me, or, oh, that's caught my attention. If you can just focus on that and lead with the biggest benefit, you're gonna at least entice them to read more of what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like, I think the example, don't know whether it's in Choice Factory or another book I've read. It's like a high-end restaurant having cheap plastic chairs in their little garden at the front. They just wouldn't, because it'd put people off. So straight away, make sure that the first thing people see is the most important thing that's going to attract them, which again, quite simple, but often overlooked. Like I've seen so many shoddy product descriptions where the lead in is quite boring. So yeah, and then on the flip side of that, the peak end rule. So it's people remember the positive things that the positive final experience of dealing with a brand. So back to what I said about that smile moment. So insert own joke here with the little bollocks lights. End with something that stirs an emotion. Like I ended with a little making people smile there. End with a bit of FOMO maybe, or a little bit of fear that they might miss out by not having this in their life. It's like a pushy salesperson in the last shop of your shopping trip might ruin the whole day for you. You might have had a lovely day going around the Trafford Centre, but then you walk into, I don't know, a shoe shop. I was like, hi, sir. What would you like? And you're like, oh, just leave me alone. Like, I don't want that. But that's the thing that sticks in your mind. So if you can do it on a micro level within your product descriptions, end things on a nice smile moment, or at least something that makes people feel something. That's a great way of doing it. And I've just mentioned about distinctiveness, but the von Restorff effect, which is stuff that stands out, is more memorable. So anything distinctive. The Leslie Hooks, just them doing that is different than anybody else. Five Guys chucking the chips into the bag. So you have that nice little, like, wow, that's like, I wasn't expecting that. Unexpected little moments of delight. So they're 3 that you can use. So leading with the strong thing, ending with the strong thing, and using kind of some nice elements of delight and surprise within the middle. There are a few ways you can use.
Lots of strong things, but you be bold in as many places as possible, because you don't get many chances to leave an impression, right? That's basically.
You don't. If you bore them in that first line, like, they're gone. They are gone. They're not going to read. You've wasted your time. Like, is it Ogilvy? Maybe I think it was Ogilvy who said, like, your headline, when you've written your headline, it's 80 cents of your dollar. The rest, The rest is just like, if the headline does its job, like job done, they're more than likely to read on. And if the rest of the stuff backs up what you're saying, they're more than likely gonna put their hand in the pocket. And if you know, it's like subject lines. So many times I work with brands like, oh, we're just such and such write the subject lines. I'm like, that's the most important bit. If that subject line is off, they're not even opening the email that you've spent all the time on. It's like, make sure you're optimizing those subject lines.
Yeah.
It's not how often that opening gambit is underused, really.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, actually, I was going to say, just to wrap up all the advice you've given, what is one little practical takeaway that we give people, if one thing they could take away and try right now? But I guess that's it, right? Go and experiment with headlines, subject lines, those first lines. Is that a good piece of advice for now?
Yeah, and trying back to what I said at the start. So putting benefits before features. People have always got these questions in their head. How will it solve my problems? What's in it for me? Or so what? If you can, when you've written your subject line or your opening gambit and you think you've got it, just go through those 3 questions and say, does it answer at least 2 of them? Like if you're doing a headline that people could go, so what? Like I did a thing called a copy safari the other day with one of the best copywriters around, Vicky Ross.
Yeah.
She's got a thing where she takes copywriters around. We have a nose at all the ads around. I think we went to like just outside Shoreditch in London, and we were looking at all the ads on the sides of buses on bus stops, and big billboards in Shoreditch. They're all really cool. And I think it was like a big bank, and one of their lines was, we've helped builders in such and such get their banking spot on. And it's like, so what? Like, I don't care about that. I don't care who you've helped do X, Y, Z. It's not inspiring me. It's not motivating. Maybe if they were talking about like, we've helped bakers, sort their business and their bread out, I might go, oh no, I associated with that because I'm a baker. But that for me, that is not answering the question. So what? Like, make me feel something. Give me some. Tell me something I don't know. Make it interesting. Make me smile.
Yeah.
So many brands fail to do the basics that stir emotions, and if you fail to do that, it's like, what are you even playing at with your marketing? Because it's all about emotion. It's all about leading with emotion anyway. You can get into the rational stuff deeper in, but if you're failing to capture people's attention with that emotive stuff, you're just wasting your time.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll be putting together our weekly newsletter tomorrow, so no pressure, but I'll be trying to make it better than it normally is. That's good advice.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for the subject line.
Exactly, yeah, and I'll get an email immediately. This is not good enough. Put a bit more work in. Thanks, Dave. Loads of fantastic advice, great examples. I want to give you the chance now. People are like, that Dave Harland, he's super smart, and he is super smart, and he's very funny as well, I will say, on the internet. So places they can find you, blatant plugs. Thewordman.co.uk is your website.
Yeah, that's my kind of freelancing website. So you can get my newsletter there. I do a free newsletter every Friday. You can sign up for that there. And I'm also working on a course at the moment, which will hopefully be out in the autumn, called Write the Funny, so that I go through around 20 or so different little techniques that you can use. It doesn't go into anything like joke writing or theory, just nice and practical techniques that you can use with your brand to try and get your real personality across, because that's one of the biggest things we found over the years. Brands have loads going on and lots of fun within their brand and within their day-to-day. You just struggle to articulate it. They struggle to get it across because they're a little bit scared that it might seem like or they might put the foot in it or say something wrong if they're trying to joke. So that course, you can get the course on my newsletter at my website. And if you need any help with tone of voice or ads or copywriting itself, I run Copy or Die copywriting agency, with my good friend Ben McKinney, and we can help you with any of that stuff, brand voice, website copy, social media ads, anything like that, email campaigns, the lot. So you can get them there. And I'm on LinkedIn. Like, you can't miss me.
I want to mention the LinkedIn.
Shamelessly relentless.
Yeah, the scammers posts on LinkedIn. I think we have to mention those as well, which are always.
Yeah. I get quite a few scammers in my DMs trying to get me involved in their unscrupulous schemes. Was it scrupulous? Yeah, unscrupulous schemes, trying to fleece me out of my hard-earned cash. and I just take them and steer them down little silly rabbit holes and see how long I can keep them on in the conversation for, until they usually block me and say, "Get away from me, you weirdo." And that's when I've won the game. But it's a nice little creative writing exercise for me as well as being fun to do. Like if you're ever writing funny stuff, or you want to make your brand have a bit more personality, make yourself laugh first. If you find it funny, you're more than likely going to attract the types of, especially small businesses and startups and stuff, more than likely going to attract more of the types of customers who are a bit like you, who you know, might be easier to work with, a bit harder to do when you're a big monster. Although the big monsters like the likes of Amazon and Coca-Cola need to heed this more than ever, because it seems the bigger they get, the more kind of watered down and dull their messaging can get.
Absolutely, I agree. And I don't know about if I think it's funny, everyone else will think it's funny. My wife would definitely disagree that I think it's funny.
Same. Don't worry. I'm the same. I think most of my stuff's hilarious. I'll tell my missus, she's like, is that meant to be funny?
Is that meant to be funny? You're being really annoying. Go away. All right. Okay, fine. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Awesome. Thanks, Dave. That was fantastic. Thank you very much for your help. And everybody, go and check out Dave wherever he is on the internet. He's always brilliant. So thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers,
for joining us. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Browse Basket Buy is brought to you by your friends at RevLifter. Promotions work, but they damage brand and margins. RevLifter's intelligent offers drive results by using behavioral signals to target the right customers at the right time. Customers typically see 20% more conversions, 30% higher AOV, 5% more revenue, and a 10% saving on promotional costs. So stop wasting discounts on people who'd buy anyway. Try RevLifter free for 90 days, and they'll handle all the heavy lifting. Visit revlifter.com to find out more. That's revlifter.com.